Hi, Susan Elias here. Today I want to talk to you about something I think is very important, and that's the ability to perfect and simplify your ideas as a fashion designer. Before I went to school, FIT, I had little or no experience in sketching and drawing, just enough to get into the college because they could see potential. But once we got in, we had incredible professors. We had this one professor, Basel, that was extremely hard on us, but I understand now why. And it's because of something that I really think that I have developed, which is called the Picasso Theory. The Picasso Theory is this, that when I went to see his exhibit back at, I'd say maybe 10 years ago at the Metropolitan Museum of Fine Arts, it was a whole retrospect. And in his beginning works, everything with such detail was put in. Every eyelash, every highlight, the backgrounds, the foregrounds, everything was put in with such detail. He was classically trained. But as he progressed and as you saw his different stages, he started to eliminate and eliminate to a point where sometimes he just had a few lines and you still understood exactly what he was trying to tell you. That's what I call the Picasso Theory. I want to show you the stages of how to develop your own style. And here we go. Now let me show you some of my earlier work, my earlier scary work, I should say, when I was at FIT. And that is that we had to draw things in great detail and with watercolor. This showing you charmeuse and how the lowlights and the highlights would be on the fabric with the garment and how it would lie on you. This is working with moire taffeta and the fullness that it had and the pattern that it has on the actual fabric. And this one is showing wool and showing you a little bit of the shadowing that would make it more defined as wool. I was still very detailed. I was still very rigid. I was still not having my own style. I started to loosen up a little bit around this stage right here. Got a little bit softer with the way I was drawing things, a little less complicated, but I was still kind of stuck. And I guess a lot of us were stuck at that time. And so Professor Basel gave us this amazing assignment that threw us all for a loop, and that was that he wanted us to do 50 original designs by the next morning. Mind you, that wasn't my only class. I had many other classes, and that was my first all-nighter at FIT. But something happened that night, late in the night, and that is I was getting tired and I started to simplify things, and I came up with this sketch. And when I came back to school the next morning, Professor Basel took one of my drawings and brought it to the blackboard and said, "She finally did it." And I'm thinking, oh God, what is he going to say now? She finally did it, he said. She developed her own style. And it's true. I started to get my own style. I simplified a little bit around the face, the way the garment was actually also had more of a style, and I was really starting to own my own style. And that was the beginning stages of developing my style as a fashion designer. We also had things in markers where we would have a light source, and where the light source would hit it, there wouldn't be no detail at all, and simplifying the design that way. You know, I also started getting a little bit softer with some of my pencils, sketches, and some of the charmeuse, some of the chiffons, I should say, and organzas that I was using. And then also I was able to do things and put little or no detail on the face or the body and just show detail on the garments themselves. This is when you start to get your own style, but you also start to get more respected as a fashion designer. I will say that it is a struggle and it is a process before you get to that point. While I'm getting to that point, I will say though, in between all of this, I still did for many, many years, I would say 20 plus years, sketching in books like this, where I do quick renderings in the book themselves. And that's just to get my idea across, my point across, the inspiration that I might have at that moment. And I put them in these books. And then when I maybe pick one or two of them that would actually make it to my collection stage, then I would put it in a detailed sketch and I would put color to it or markers to it. And that's the process that I worked at. And that's still the process that I use today. But if you want to be really relevant in today's market, you have to learn things like Adobe Illustrator. I've had to work with this program back in Miami before I moved, and we did things with the Illustrator program where we can actually present our ideas and inspirations. We also use in the Adobe Illustrator, you have a croquis that you use underneath. You do your line drawing, and you can even show fabric and patterns on a fabric such as this. And you can use this for your own line sheets when you want to show it to stores or project to a potential job situation. But you can also use it if you're working overseas. You would have to do detailed sketches like this in the program, showing line drawings and all the details, along with measurements and probably arrows everywhere that you need, so that person or that company understands how to produce that garment for you and with a clear, concise way. It's very important to be able to design, but it's also very important to be able to project your own designs and your own ideas so that people can clearly see what you're trying to show. So the final thoughts on this, the point I'm trying to get at, is that if you simplify and perfect your ability to sketch, you become that much more important as a fashion designer. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Fashion Unfolded. Please tune in to my channel, which is Susan Elias Couture, and I hope to see you soon.